Just gonna give it a moment to let everyone into the waiting room. I mean, into the hearing, actually, not the waiting room. As a reminder, please mute yourself as you enter the hearing. Please ensure your audio and video are functioning if you are presenting. Good afternoon. This is a hearing before the Boston Cannabis Board, the BCB. Today is November 10th, 2021. Today's hearing is being conducted pursuant to certain temporary amendments to the open meeting law. This is what allows us to meet virtually. This hearing is being recorded and will be posted on the City of Boston's website. My name is Jasmine Nguyen, and I am the Boston Cannabis Board Manager. Before I review some procedural matters, I will introduce the Boston Cannabis Board commissioners that we have present with us today. We have Commissioner Alejandra St. Gian, Commissioner Lisa Holmes, and Commissioner John Smith. Chairwoman Kathleen Joyce had a death in her family and cannot join us today. We are sending her lots of prayers. And Commissioner Darlene Lombos also couldn't join us today due to a prior engagement. Because we only have 3 commissioners present today, the applicants were given the option to either go forward with their presentation today or ask for a deferral to next month's BCB's hearing, which will take place on December 8th, 2021 at 1 p.m. The applicants who chose to go forward with the hearing today would need all 3 commissioners to vote in favor of their proposal in order to move forward. Items 1, Zip Run Inc. Item 3, Natural Oasis LLC. And item 5, Green Stratus Corp. have all asked to be deferred to December. We will now move forward to the remaining items on the agenda. I will read each item into the record in the order that they appear on the agenda. I will ask who is present on behalf of each applicant. Each applicant will have 10 minutes each to present to the BCB, followed by questions from the commissioners. We will then take public testimony, beginning with elected officials or representatives of elected officials, followed by general public. If you wish to testify, please sign up via the link that I will put in the chat. If you have already signed up, you do not have to sign up again. You may use the chat function as well to request to testify. Please wait until the matter that you wish to testify on is called. Do not use the chat function to give testimony. It will not be considered. Please state your full name, address, and affiliation, if any. Testimony will be limited to 2 minutes, at which you will be muted. Additional testimony may be submitted in writing to cannabisboard@boston.gov. And the record will be kept open until Tuesday, November 16th at 5 p.m. The BCB does not give any more weight to spoken testimony than it does to written testimony. We will move to the first item on the agenda, which is going to be Build a Life Legacy LLC. The proposed license premise is 1187 Blue Hill Avenue in Mattapian. The license type is a recreational cannabis dispensary license. The proposed hours are Monday through Saturday, 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. and Sunday, 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. This is an equity applicant. Date of initial application is September 14th. Date of filing with Inspection Services, July 1st, 2021. Date of the community meeting was October 14th, 2021, and there is a buffer zone conflict. Before I proceed with the presentation, I will ask Attorney Shayla White to testify regarding the equity certification.
Good afternoon, everyone. I was able to certify Build a Life Legacy as an equity applicant based on the information submitted to me by Mr. Marquise Cohen. Marquise is the 91% beneficial interest holder of Build a Life Legacy, and so he exceeds the 51% ownership interest that was set criteria that was set forth in that ordinance. The first criteria that Mr. Cohen met is that he has been a resident of the city of Boston for the past 7 years. Mr. Cohen submitted sufficient documentation to prove that he has been a resident of Boston since at least the year 2014. The second criteria that Mr. Cohen met is that he self-identified as Black. And the third criteria is a person whose household income is at or below 100% of the area median income. Mr. Cohen submitted his 2020 federal income tax returns, which proved that he received an income that was at or below 100% of the area median income. That is all I have for the certification. Are there any questions about the certification?
Okay, seeing no questions, who is present on behalf of the licensee?
Myself, Drew Ledbetter.
Okay. So you will have 10 minutes to present. I will give you a warning at the 5-minute mark and the 1-minute mark. You can
May I
share.
share my screen?
Yep.
Thank you so much. Good afternoon, and thank you so much for allowing us to present today. Thank you, Boston Cannabis Board Commissioners, elected officials, and community members present with us. My name is Drew Ledbetter, and I'm humbled to have the opportunity to testify today on behalf of Build a Life Legacy, LLC. Build a Life Legacy was formed in January 2021 by Mr. Marquise Cohen and myself. Our mission was simple. We wanted to revitalize the community that we grew up in by becoming business owners so that we could empower and elevate all of those around us. Our company will be doing business as The Pot, and our primary commitment will always be to serve our community in every way. We want to be good neighbors, trusted employers, and a community resource for job training, education. We also want to have an active hand in increasing our community's access to whole foods by supporting all urban agriculture efforts in Mattapan. We are 100% minority owned and controlled. Our leadership team is made up of Mr. Marquise Cohen, a 41-year Mattapan resident. Mr. Cohen comes with over 10 years of high-end retail operations and leadership experience. He's a founding member of Basketball Life Athletics and continues to serve as a volunteer coach at various Mattapan community centers. Curly Nicholas was raised in Mattapan, attended Boston Latin Academy. He has over 13 years of sales and leadership experience and is currently a sales director with Procter & Gamble. Lee Pasquale was raised in the Greater Mattapan Neighborhood District on the Dorchester side, attended Boston Latin School, and she is a 20-year technology professional with experience in highly regulated markets. Karen Chacon was raised in Jamaica Plain and also attended Boston Latin School. Karen has more than 20 years experience working in public service. She's currently an executive director of a local nonprofit in Boston. I, Drew Ledbetter, moved to Mattapan from Venezuela in 1990 and witnessed my mother open the first Caribbean airmail branch in the city of Boston. I am a Boston Latin School and Boston College graduate and have been in nursing leadership for the last 17 years. Our team has a strong commitment to justice, diversity, equity, and inclusion. The Pot will be a safe and accessible work environment for all team members, regardless of race, gender, ethnicity, religion, sexual orientation, or gender identity. We'll be ADA compliant with parking and facilities, as well as have gender neutral bathrooms on site. We want to create and maintain a comprehensive recruitment plan, and we will partner with existing organizations that serve people with disabilities, the BIPOC population, LGBTQAI+, and transition and reentry programs to recruit team members. We'll also seek out diverse vendors and service providers to partner with. Because justice, diversity, equity, and inclusion are at the core of our purpose, we have a full-time diversity, equity, and inclusion officer to ensure that we stay on top of our goals and maintain an active community engagement. Karen Chacon will serve in that role, and we'll create a JDEI committee made up of staff, leadership, and others that will oversee the JDEI activities of the company. The committee will meet regularly to review and report on all of our goals. It will be involved in team member hiring and will assist in capturing qualitative information from our team so we can maintain an inclusive work culture. The committee will also be tasked with regular reporting of goals to the entire company, local community, and to the city and state regulatory bodies. It will also serve as a body to review and handle any internal grievances filed. Our location is at 1187 Blue Hill Ave in Mattapan. The facility is a commercially zoned, secure brick building less than 200 feet from the B3 police station and at the intersection of Blue Hill Ave and Morton Street. Our proposed hours of operations are Monday through Saturday, 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. and Sunday, 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. We've also agreed to work on an appointment-only basis on Sundays when Morningstar Baptist Church, one of our direct abutters, is at capacity again to allow for double parking on the Blue Hill Ave side not to be disruptive. We will have indoor queuing to avoid sidewalk congestion, as well as multiple point of sale stations to ensure an efficient customer flow. We will also have 10 dedicated and private parking spaces on site. Team members will have access to subsidized T-passes and Blue Bike membership as a way to encourage and incentivize our team to use public transit. There are 6 bus stops within a 3-minute walk, 3 Blue Bike locations within a 9-minute walk, and 2 commuter rail stations within a half a mile of our location. Upon the first visit to the pod, our clients will sign a Mattapan Community Client Agreement, agreeing that they have been adequately educated on how to handle, transport, and consume their products, but most importantly, agreeing to not be a nuisance to our neighbors. We will have zero tolerance for public consumption of cannabis and any other illegal activity under the law. Littering and loitering will not be allowed, and anyone who double parks in front of our facility would be denied entry. The pod is not within a 500 feet of a public or private school or social service or treatment center, but it is within a half mile of another proposed cannabis establishment. The pod is located on the southbound traffic side of Blue Hill Avenue, and the other proposed location is on the northbound traffic side of Blue Hill Avenue. There are about 65 individual businesses between the two proposed locations, as this is a densely populated area, and Blue Hill Ave and Warren Street is considered a gateway intersection for the city. In this corridor, there is also an established precedent to have similar business types on each side of Blue Hill Avenue. In addition, the pod's hours of operations would not impact morning northbound traffic, and 70% of our dispensary hours of operation do not impact peak traffic times on the southbound side as well. The city of Boston is changing, and Go Boston 30 will create a new traffic pattern on Blue Hill Ave as it has all over our city. Making U-turns will be less desirable and available. In addition, from the Morton Street eastbound or westbound side, traffic cannot make left turns. And this is why we feel it would be beneficial for there to be multiple establishments on each side of Blue Hill Avenue.
4-minute warning.
We also plan to impact the community in unique ways. We will participate in the planned Mattapan Public Art Project using our external Morton Street facing wall to add to the beautification efforts in the community. We will achieve membership in community gardens and use that space to educate our neighbors and improve access to urban agriculture. We will be a trusted community education center investing in educational kiosks for our clients to learn more about the benefits of the plant. Most importantly, we will curate a Mattapan culture exhibit within our indoor queuing area. We want to serve as a melting pot for all things Mattapan art, culture, and history. The pod will create over 30 new jobs in Mattapan. Our employment plan will focus on hiring at least 80% of Boston residents, with a priority placed on Mattapan residents, 51% BIPOC population and 51% women. Starting salaries above industry standard at $16.50 an hour. In addition, we're committing a percentage of the profits to create a bonus program and retention program for our employees. We will offer medical, dental, and retirement plans, monthly subsidized T-passes, and Blue Bag memberships as well. Our full-time director of DEI and community outreach will ensure that our hiring plan is non-discriminatory and will actively use reentry programs and transitional programs to recruit staff. The pod's business plan was guided and influenced by community feedback. So we've collected over 100 signatures of support from community members and held numerous meetings. In addition, we've collected over 68 letters that were sent directly to the Boston Cannabis Board. We have obtained a letter of support from District 5 City Councilor Arroyo and State Representative Ted Phillips. We actually just received our letter of support from City Councilor at Large Julia Mejia a few minutes ago, and we've received verbal support from State Representative Russell Holmes, who is a direct abutter. We've also met with our community groups, Wellington Hills Civic Group and Greater Mattapan Neighborhood Council, that verbalized non-opposition, but those letters of support are pending. In addition, we met with Morningstar Baptist Church Bishop Borders, and we've committed to partner with them on social justice efforts, and we're actually hosting an expungement clinic event at the church in December of 2021. Our security plan was also created with our trusted vendor, Verkada, and feedback from local enforcement, including many of the officers at B3. The facility will feature perimeter alarms and limited entry, proper lighting and external high impact windows with sensors, motion detection cameras for the perimeter and parking with 24/7 monitoring. Indoor and outdoor security personnel will be on staff at all times during hours of operation. Control access doors with multi-factor authentication for access for our team. 24 total cameras that are all NDAA compliant. Secure fire-rated vault with fisheye camera inside. Silent distress alarms connected to local law enforcement and safety. We'll also have it in our policies that all visitors must be logged in by 2 staff members.
1-minute warning.
We have also partnered with state licensed social equity on Eagle Eyes Transport to secure transport for all products and monies from the site. We're dedicated to ensuring that cannabis is accessible to only adults over the age of 21. So we'll have secured entry ID scan to verify age and ID check again at the point of sale. We'll be metric seed compliant to make sure that we detect any instances of theft and all of our marketing materials will be geared towards those that are 21 plus. I'd like to close with a quote from our CEO, Mr. Cohen: "Will create a culture of business ownership that sets a standard for how Mattapan business should be done. We deserve the best, so we will be the best." Thank you for your time today. Thank you to commissioners and community members in attendance.
Thank you. We will now move on to questions from our commissioners. We'll start with Commissioner Holmes. Do you have any questions for the applicant?
I do. It's more of a comment than a question. First of all, I thought your presentation was absolutely fabulous, and I love your logo. I don't know what it is about that little logo that I just think is so cute. But it was, I have one question, one comment about it's the way you worded something in your diversion and equity, and I saw it in a couple of different places, and I think I get what you mean, but it's the way that you worded it, and I'm hoping if I explain it, you'll understand and you can reword it. So it talks about where the applicant will not use criminal history as a factor in hiring of team members, particularly those who have served time for marijuana-related charges. I do understand what you mean, but you can't say that you're not going to use someone's criminal history, because there are certain things that people have been charged with where they can't be around the general population. For instance, a sex offense or something like that. So I understand what you meant, but I think you might be better served if you just take that first line out, because there are certain factors that will determine if you can have somebody working around other people.
Correct. Thank you.
So do you understand that?
Absolutely. And our Karen Chacon is taking notes.
Yeah, so that was it. And I think you had a fabulous presentation in your application. Everything looks fantastic. For me, that was the one thing that jumped out. So make sure you take care of that and have that reworded, okay?
Absolutely. Thank you.
That's it, Jasmine.
Okay. Commissioner St. Pierre, do you have any questions for the applicant?
Thank you so much. Just want to second my fellow commissioner. I thought it was a really strong application. I really appreciate all the thought you put into it, especially around Plan Mattapan and how, in traffic patterns. As you know, as being within a buffer zone, there's going to be a higher level of scrutiny. I believe that you answered that really well in terms of both the density and the traffic patterns that will definitely have a huge impact. But I just know that that's going to be a level of scrutiny also at the zoning board. But I felt like, that was my concern. I felt like that was answered really well. So I don't have any questions. I just wanted to comment. Thank you.
Commissioner Smith, do you have any questions for the applicant?
Yes, thanks, Jasmine. And again, I will echo my other commissioners and basically say thank you for the presentation. Questions are, so you talked about creating 30 new jobs. What's the time frame for that? Over like immediately, or you're thinking 5 years, or?
So I would like to see if Karen is available to speak to that. Our DEI and community outreach person will be managing our hiring as well. We anticipate that the first few jobs for opening will be within the first 30 days, about a third of those positions. And as our volume increases, we will continue our hiring efforts as well. I'm not sure if Karen, if you want to add to that.
No, you just took the words out of my mouth, but thank you.
Okay. So again, time frame, like you're creating
About a third of about 10 jobs, the first, right, pre-operational, and once we get going, we'll be transitioning up as our volume gets up. We do realize that we're in a gateway area, so we may need to ramp up, and we're working with HR firms to actually make sure that we're adequately staffed for our opening as well.
Okay. You also talked about the profit sharing plan. Is there a cap in terms of percentages that you're thinking about?
I will like to defer to Curly Nicholas, our CFO. I believe he's the master of numbers, so if he may answer that. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for the question, Commissioner. So as you know, we're still kind of in the early stages of securing this agreement and formalizing some of the other parts of our business. So whether or not there's a cap and how much that is hasn't been fully defined yet. But once that has been determined, I'd be happy to share that information.
So you're still working that plan out? Okay.
Yes, sir.
And just in terms of language, similar to Commissioner Holmes, you said that you're not going to use citizenship status as a factor in hiring staff. So can you do that? Not hire non-citizens or?
I think we're gonna have to work within the limits of the law in that realm and just make sure we're following all labor laws and local laws. We just don't want people to feel like if they have legal paperwork to work and they don't have citizenship or anything else, that they can't come and be part of our community.
Okay. Those are my questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we will now move on to public testimony. We will begin with elected officials or representative of elected officials. I know Councilor Mejia has raised her hand to speak. Councilor Mejia, you can unmute yourself.
Oh.
I see her on the screen. Councilor Mejia? We'll come back to her.
She said she couldn't unmute.
Okay.
I'm not sure if that's controlled.
Jasmine, I can go.
Okay, Dante.
Oh, first, good afternoon, commissioners, members of the board. Dante Peoples here from the Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Services. We'd like to go on record in support of this proposal. There was an extensive community outreach period with a community meeting run by Office of Neighborhood Services on October 14th, which was attended by community stakeholders, residents, as well as representatives of local elected officials. The applicant has received, as she said, a number of letters of support from local businesses, as well as abutters and neighbors in the local area. And again, has done an extensive outreach process. Again, with the meeting on the 14th, there was a meeting with the Greater Mattapan Neighborhood Council on October 21st, as well as meetings with Wellington Hill on October 12th, which did result in a verbal agreement, a verbal support. But again, as the applicant said, we are waiting on letters. But again, I'd like to say the mayor's office would like to go on record in support, but we ask the applicant continue their outreach and the hard work with the community. And again, thank you for that. So as they can go through the process, just still work with the community. Thank you.
Thank you, Dante. I believe Councilor Mejia's. Go ahead.
Thank you so very much. You know how I like to talk and I get anxiety when I can't speak. So thank you so very much for unmuting me. So I'm just here in support of this applicant. I mean, as you saw by the presentation, every single detail, especially when it comes to equity and economic empowerment for our community, is well thought out. And so I just wanted to voice our support, our strong, enthusiastic support for this application, because I know our letter came in a little bit late. I just wanted to make sure that at the very least, I hopped on to support. So thank you so very much for giving me the opportunity to do so. And congratulations. I'm super excited about the work and look forward to seeing the business come to fruition. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Are there any elected officials or representative of elected officials that would like to speak on support of this proposal? Seeing none, we will move to those who signed up via the link that I put in the chat. First off, we have, and I apologize if I mispronounce names, Leslie Pasquale. Is Leslie present?
Yes, I'm here. I'm part of the POT team, and I just wanted to extend my support, and I'm very proud to be a part of this organization.
Thank you. Next, we have Euros Valmond. Is Euros available? Don't see her. Next, we have Pamela Leans. Is Pamela on? Next, we have Marcus Cohen. I see you.
Hi, I'm Marquise Cohen. I'm actually the CEO, and I'm just want to top on this, say I appreciate this opportunity. Thanks.
Thank you. Ina Bolden.
Hi, good afternoon, Boston Cannabis Board. My name is Ina Bolden. I grew up in the Mattapan community, particularly around the Woodrow Avenue area. I'm a member of the Temple Salem Seventh-day Adventist Church located in 222 Woodrow Avenue. I'm here to testify on behalf of Judith and Marquise and the Build a Life Legacy LLC. Judith and Marquise both have deep roots in the Mattapan community. Both of their kids play sports for Mattapan teams. There isn't a community event that you could attend and not see them pop in with their families. They're both registered voters in the city. Marquise himself is a well-known figure in the Norfolk Park area, Elmont Park, and the Mattahunt Community Center. Sorry, I'm a little nervous. He is a volunteer coach, a basketball coach at the Mildred with the Basketball Life Athletics Group. I know I'm pressed for time, but if anyone deserves to open up a business in Mattapan, it's these two. They are an integral part of the Mattapan community, and they want to grow and uplift the community. So I am testifying on their behalf because I know them both personally, and I know that they will do great things for Mattapan. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Andrea Linton. Is Andrea?
I am here. Hey, I'm Andrea Linton. I personally am here to testify for Marquise and Drew. I know them pretty well. They are hard workers, and I'm definitely just here to tell you guys that I'm in support of what they are here to do in the community, and I can't wait to see what they're doing.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that wishes to testify on behalf of this applicant? Not seeing any. Do the commissioners have any additional questions for the applicant? Seeing none, seeing no additional hands or anyone else to speak, the board will take this matter under advisement. Thank you. All right. For those of you who joined later, items 1, Zip Run Inc., item 3, Natural Oasis LLC, and item 5, Green Stratus Corp. have asked to be deferred to the December's agenda, just in case if anyone missed that. Next, we will go to applicant is Cloud Farming LLC. The proposed license premise is at 50 Condor Street, East Boston. The type of license they are seeking is a co-located cultivation and product manufacturing license. The proposed hours of operations are Monday through Sunday, 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. This is a non-equity applicant. The applicant date of initial application was May 2018 and November 1st, 2020. The date of filing with Inspectional Service was June 12th, 2018, and the date of the community meeting was December 2018 and April 6th, 2021. There is a buffer zone conflict. Who is present on behalf of the licensee?
Sean Cooney is here on behalf of Cloud Farming, and
I'm Connie Cooney.
Can I ask you one question, Jasmine? What the address? Excuse me. Is it Condor or Congress?
Condor.
Okay, thank you.
You will have 10 minutes to give your presentation to the BCB. I will give you a warning at the 5-minute mark and the 1-minute mark. You may share your screen and begin your presentation.
okay. Thank you, Jasmine.
You're welcome.
Okay. Can everyone see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. So anyways, we're Cloud Farming, currently Cloud Farming, and we currently are running a controlled environment agriculture farm at 50 Condor Street in East Boston. We've been in business for 8 years, selling greens throughout the city. And there's a buffer zone conflict between 50 Condor Street and Berkshire Roots on Meridian Street, and with a planned facility in Maverick Square. We're about 2,400 square feet, 2,400 feet from Berkshire Roots. And it's right on the borderline of the distance you could possibly run a facility. We're not the same kind of facility. We're not a retail location, and we're dependent on having industrial zoning in order to have a growing and production facility in East Boston or anywhere in the city. And we're not going to create any great amount of traffic. There'll be fairly low to medium staffing requirements. It'll be regular operation hours. There's not a lot of people running through during the course of the day. So there's not much impact from the facility being in the neighborhood. And again, we've been operating very much the same way we've been operating for 8 years in that location. So the company is solely owned by Constance, Connie, and myself. Connie owns 51% and I own 49%. There are no other direct or indirect participants. And we live at 77 Pond Street in Marblehead, Massachusetts. I've got long roots in the city of Boston. I was born actually in Chelsea, then moved immediately to East Boston, to Lexington Street, and then eventually to Roslindale, and grew up there through college. And the reason we're actually sited in East Boston is that we wanted to site a cutting edge cultivation growing facility in a part of the city that we have roots and connections to, and in an area that needs new and exciting businesses. And we felt we could grow that business in that location. So that's how we ended up in East Boston, even though we do not live there ourselves right now. Jasmine went through our filing dates, and over the course of the 8 years being there, we've developed relationships with Adrian Matero, with Lena Tremelli, with the past neighborhood process folks, Edward McGuire and Jose Mata, as well as the Eagle Hill Neighborhood Association. We've donated time and effort and worked with a lot of the neighborhood schools, the STEM programs. And have basically been doing this, with the facility we have for a period of time. We currently produce about as much lettuce as a 4-acre farm, and we're going to change, assuming we get a license from the state and approval from the city, part of our capabilities over to cannabis. So we should be an operating cannabis and greens farm in the same location. We're basically a fully built out infrastructure. It's automated, state of the art, and we've got long-term R&D and selling arrangements with people throughout the country. We've developed a certain amount of brand awareness in the Boston and Metro Boston area, and we're hoping to be able to service, not only the thousands of customers we currently have for our greens, but also, focus on being able to grow quality cannabis and produce quality cannabis products that will be available, specifically and initially to the retail operations that are opening in the city, and particularly focusing on outreach to the DEI and SDEI applicants in the city of Boston. Would like to be able to see a good piece of the revenue that we generate and the products that we generate end up in the hands of the city, the people of the city of Boston, and have the business growth opportunities flow to the people who are running these new small businesses in the city of Boston and help them grow. We're a great fit in the Eagle Hill neighborhood. We're in an area that has to continue to be industrially zoned. We're 700 feet away from East Boston High School, 1,400 feet away from the Umana School. And again, we're over 2,400 feet from the Berkshire Roots, which I know is a little bit under the required distance from another location. We're a fairly long way from other neighborhood features like the Central Square area, the Urban Wild, and Day Square. And we, over the years, basically have been publishing information about the farm and about our cannabis application through eastboston.com. Actually, even very recently, we've reached out to the neighborhood. In addition to the leafleting that we've done, we've had Frank publish to the neighborhood and to East Boston, what's happening with what we're doing. Again, our initial application was April in 2018. We've got relationships with East Boston High School, Eastie Farm, ENHC, NOAA, the McKay School STEM program, and Harbor Keepers through Magdalena IE. We hope that the stability, that the ability to grow cannabis and actually earn a little bit more money for the farm will allow us to, further outreach, and extend our involvement into the community and provide more services than we already do. We continue to reach out to people who, we're looking, who need help in the neighborhood. Okay, so we've got a history of diversity, equity, inclusion. We ran the farm. At one point, we were up to about 9 people on the farm. We were basically at that point 7 women and 2 men. It basically, according to the disenfranchised population description, we were, 8 people out of 9 were disenfranchised population people. We had LGBTQIA, transsexuals, Black people. We had basically probably in the largest percentage we could possibly run of people of color and people who are part of inclusion groups. What we plan to do is, we are going to be using a software from a company called Sustain Life to basically track all of our sustainability activities and publish all those. DEI will be a portion of that, and we'll have published reports that will go to our website as well as supervising authorities. And we're currently creating programs with the Minority Cannabis Business Association and the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee of the NCIA, creating training programs, webinars, presentations, and our plan is to make those available to anybody in the city of Boston, who can benefit from them, anybody who wants to basically open another facility. For our growth plans, again, we're going to track and publish all of our information using very, very visible software and publishing practices. As we grow, our goals for year 1 are to grow back to 8 employees with 25% men, 75% disenfranchised population, 30% East Boston residents, and 60% Boston residents. Our minimum wage will be $20. We've got a history of exceeding, what requirements are at the Boston public market, and we were paying $15 an hour back in 2014. So we're, the plan is to offer trainings, OSHA safety, cultivation technology, with a real goal of moving folks from entry-level jobs or early-level jobs, basically to a skilled job that they'll be able to either, grow with us or be able to transition to, working with another cannabis company at a salary position somewhere else. That's, how we're, really going to approach what's going on, with our training. It's really to get, not to have more retail jobs. It's really to develop, skills that can be transitioned either in the cannabis industry or, out into the larger agricultural space. Okay, so we're down to, we have no retail. Our security is basically, there's no money on site. We've got 7 years of neighborhood involvement, and we have 24-hour hand monitored video surveillance, and anything will be stored in the cloud. The physical facility is completely secure. It's made with steel, aluminum, and stainless steel, and we'll be using two-factor authentication to basically make sure that as people are going in and out, they'll be tracked, and we'll know who is where. And there's rule-based access to every area that anyone will be working in. And we'll be using metric software to seed to sale tracking that will be tied to employee access and activities. So we'll know who's there and what's going on. And, we have the potential to grow up to 60,000 square feet in the space we're at, with a potential wholesale value of about $48 million of revenue, with a 4x upside for extraction if we go that way. But initially, we're up and operating within probably 2 months of state approval, transitioning a portion of the up and running business into a cannabis growing facility. And
That is your time, Mr. Cooney.
okay, we're there. Thank you. Thank you, Jasmine.
You're welcome. All right, now we would move to questions, beginning with our commissioners. Commissioner Holmes, do you have any questions for the applicant?
Yeah, I'd like him to explain to me a little bit more about the security procedures, because I know you haven't had any problems growing hemp or lettuce. But
Yep.
once people find out that you're going to be growing marijuana there, anybody who is, about unlawful design will find it appealing to try to get in there.
Yes.
So what, and you say you don't need a human security. You don't see the need,
Correct.
the human security at this. So I need you to reassure me why you feel that way.
Because the actual, we're running, we currently have 5 cameras in every location that we're basically, just throwing away the information from. So we'll be continuing to run 4 to 5 cameras in every location, and we're going to be using keypad activated locks that will use two-factor authentication. So the only people who will be able to get in there, lacking a torch to burn their way in, that'll be the only way anyone will be able to get in. And we're in a very visible street location, so folks out there trying to burn their way through the stainless steel and the aluminum, I think it's a very secure area, and we're relying on actual physical security and technology to keep people out.
Okay, apparently you've never watched The Town or anywhere else where somebody has broken into somewhere that was very accessible to the street. And if somebody wants to get in, Mr. Cooney, they will. So in my opinion, I don't think you can take the honor system that once somebody knows that you're growing marijuana there, that they're not going to attempt to get in, because they will.
Mm-hmm. Well,
if there's a crime opportunity, a crime will happen.
Mm-hmm.
So I would suggest that you might want to look into at least having some sort of roving security around the facility once the cultivation and manufacturing of the marijuana starts, because somebody's going to try to get in there once they know that you have that that ability or that.
Okay, and we'll definitely take that to heart. I think we have no problem with having either an on-site or basically a check-in process where people come once an hour or 3 times a night or whatever.
Right, something like that. Yeah.
So punch the card, open, wiggle the doors, and make sure that everything is up and functional. And at that point, they will actually have that person would have the ability to check in with the online system to see if anyone has been or is in or has tried the doors. So yeah, we'd be happy to add that into.
I just think that it's going to be an evil necessity. I mean, you don't want to give somebody the opportunity to commit the crime if you can prevent it ahead of time.
Yeah, and there's I appreciate it. We'll definitely do that. And there's only going to be a week or so every quarter when they're at, even though they don't know it, there's only going to be a week or so every quarter that it's going to be worth their breaking in. Again, they're not going to know that. So yeah, keeping them out is probably a better solution.
Yeah, I think so. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Commissioner St. Jean, do you have any questions for the applicant?
Just a clarifying question. What was the total number of employees you planned on having once you're at capacity?
Yeah. Oh, at capacity.
Yeah.
We're targeting 8 the first year because we're going to be opening with an existing facility. And that would be a growth opportunity at 60,000 square feet. It would probably be a 40-person operation.
A 40-person. And what's your plan for full-time versus part-time? Is there going to be a preference for full-time commitment?
Initially, full-time would be a preferred option. If preferred full-time option, we'll be offering, a full benefits package. Blue Bike, we're basically a couple of 100 feet from the several bus lines that provide service about 8 times an hour. So we've got a fairly good access to where we are, and again, we've got a history of paying our employees well. Our letter of support from the Boston Public Market basically outlines that, that about how well we paid and who we actually employed over the period of time we were there. So we have history of trying to do the best thing we can for our employees.
Yeah. And once, do you plan a full conversion to marijuana, or are you going to keep other crops there as well?
Yeah, the plan is to continue to have be both a farm and a cannabis growing thing. So basically we're going to grow lettuce, and they'll be in separate containers.
Yeah.
They obviously can't be together, but because the individual locations are modular, we'll be able to keep the two functions separate. And I think it's a great approach. The USDA basically is starting to fund the overlap of cannabis and growing farm products in order to accelerate some of the growth in farm products, taking some of the money from the cannabis folks. So I think it'll be an early experiment into the mixture of farm products and cannabis products.
But for now, no.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Smith, do you have any questions for the applicant?
Yes. Hi, Mr. Cooney. How are you?
Hi. Good.
Looking at your plan, diversity inclusion plan. Can you just explain a little bit why you're moving women to disenfranchised?
That was the definition the Cannabis Control Commission uses.
Okay, so you just moved it down.
I just moved it down. That was all. It's I had to take someone's definition.
Okay, so you went with that.
Right.
You said you were currently creating programs with the Minority Cannabis Business Association. Can you talk a little bit, what are those programs? What's the goal? What's the aim?
The goal of those programs basically is to bring both facility design and growing processes, sustainable growing processes information to the diversity and equity inclusion groups. As people are trying to get into the business, what we're finding is that there's a need for more training than's out there and more information than's out there. And since my involvement with facility design and building sustainable practice information, the feeling was that all of that will roll into any minority or equity applicant being able to build a facility and operate a facility in a way that offers sustainable practices, and to get the information from the folks who've been building facilities for a while, into the group of people who are looking for that information. And that includes things like financial practices, how to build a facility that matches what your goals are, matches what your ability to raise money is, and build that business out. So, those are the kind of things. It's basically facility building.
So the goal is to have those candidates build and manage their own business.
Correct.
Okay. You just mentioned to Commissioner that the goal is to have 40 employees?
That would be at a full out expansion for the possibility of our site. That would be a 60,000 square foot facility located on the location we're at.
Okay.
Initially, we're going to operate in the facility we have and bootstrap the operation as we've done for the past 8 years. And the goal is to maintain local control. We haven't taken money from any out of state vendors. We have not taken money from any large investment firms. We've bootstrapped it up through this point, and the goal is to be able to, add, a more profitable crop into what we're doing, and to bootstrap and expand the operation from there. So initially, we're looking at 8 people for the initial year of operation, and roll that money into a growing facility.
Yeah, I saw that. I saw the 8 living wage jobs, but the only reason I asked about the 40 was because you mentioned it. But in the growth plan, you mentioned that there would be an additional 20 management and manufacturing jobs. So I was wondering, okay, so you're saying additional 20 in the first year or the years to come? And you're
in the years to come.
40? Okay.
Yeah, in the years to come.
But eventually you're building to 40.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
That's the plan. And we're really targeting, jobs that actually, production jobs that can be transitioned into another space. As opposed to straight retail jobs. I mean, the growing and producing products, are skills that are transferable, either to other people in the cannabis space or to people in the food industry. We're hoping to have a strong management team grow out of our organic growth as opposed to hiring in. So that's, we're starting small. We'll be training the people who are working with us. And those people, our assumption is, and our hope is that they'll be the management team as the company grows.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jasmine.
You're welcome, Commissioner. Now we will move to public testimony, beginning with elected officials or any representatives from the elected officials.
Hi, good afternoon, commissioners and members of the board. Kim Crucioli from the Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Services. I am speaking on behalf of my colleague, Lena Tremelli, who ran the community process for this proposal. The Mayor's Office would like to go on record in strong support for this proposal. There was a long community process that included 2 meetings, one in December of 2018 and another in April 2021, and abutters were in support after both of these meetings. They also presented to the Eagle Hill Civic Association, and those meetings went well. The applicant is a good neighbor and cares for the community, and with that, we offer our support. Thank you.
Thank you, Kim. Are there any other elected officials or representatives that would like to speak on behalf of this applicant? Seeing none, we will move to those who signed up via the chat link. I actually don't see anyone that signed up to testify. Is there anybody else on the hearing that would like to speak in support of this proposal? Not seeing any. All right, the board will take this matter under advisement.
Thank you, Jasmine.
You're welcome. So again, items 1, Zip Run Inc. Item 3, Natural Oasis LLC, and item 5, Green Stratus Corp. have all asked to be deferred to December. With that being said, those were all the matters that were presented before the board today. The board's voting meeting will take place next Wednesday, November 17th at 1 p.m. The information will be posted on the City of Boston's website. Again, the record will be kept open until Tuesday, November 16th at 5 p.m. So you can submit additional written correspondence for the board to review before the November 17th meeting. Thank you all for attending today's hearing and enjoy the rest of your evening.